Murder. The premeditated killing of one human being by another. Capital punishment. The legally authorized killing of someone as punishment for a crime. While both of these definitions to me sound very similar, they made capital punishment sound more legally sound and just. But where is the line really drawn when it comes to murder? Ask yourself this question. Who should be given the right to determine whether someone should live or die? And is a kill for kill type of technique really something that we want to continue to enforce in the United States? While I understand that everyone is entitled to their own views, beliefs, judgments, and opinions, many may actually sway their point of view after taking a critical and careful look at the other side of capital punishment. The main reasons why the death penalty is so controversial among people is because of moral and religious issues, justice itself, and obviously the financial cost is going to play a big factor in it. Morally speaking, killing is viewed as more than wrong. But how are we supposed to set an example that murdering someone is wrong when the government picks and chooses who they want to live and who they are willing to take the life of? The major religion that is against the death penalty is the Catholic Church. While I'm not saying that every pronounced Catholic is against capital punishment, or that the only faith against capital punishment is the Catholic Church, they stress that God should be the only one to determine someone else's ending. And these views stick strong with many Americans. This graph, provided by the Death Penalty Information Center, shows in red the states that support the death penalty and enforce it, and in blue the states that don't enforce it or support it. You'll actually see that the line in red, where for the states that support it, have a higher death rate than the ones that don't support it at all. Financially speaking, in terms of money coming from tax dollars and state spending, the Death Penalty Information Center provided the information that stated in California it costs roughly $90,000 per year to house an inmate in a high-security prison. Now I know what you all are thinking. That is a lot of money coming from people's hard-earned tax dollars. But in reality, that is only a fraction of the cost of what it costs to put someone on death row and finally execute them. After figuring in appeals, incarceration, and even the method of death process, we are looking at figures well in the millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars. The inmates on death row usually spend years living in prison before the actual execution, driving up the cost even more. As far as justice goes, the death penalty is also seen as a form of cruel and unusual punishment. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, the death penalty system in the United States is applied unfairly and unjustly. People believe that you can get out of death row if you have a really good attorney that you paid for with a lot of money. Basically saying that if you have money, you don't have to worry about being put on death row. But if you don't, that's your best bet. An example of why the death penalty might be cruel and unusual is because of Jesse Tafero's case. This man named Jesse Tafero was convicted and sentenced to death row in 1990. He was executed in Florida for the murder of a state trooper. Sadly, 2 years later, Tafero was found innocent due to later DNA evidence. And his execution went horribly wrong. He was electrocuted, but his head caught fire during the electrocution for a slow and painful death. Just proving that after 2 years later that he was proved innocent and that he could have walked free shows that the capital punishment is 110% irreversible and there's nothing you can do about it once the act has been committed. This is just one example of how unstable capital punishment really is. We all want justice for someone else's wrongdoing, but how far is too far itself? With all this said and done, I hope that I have been able to better inform you about capital punishment and how it is set up and persuade you all to take a different look and think differently.